Welcome back to the Authenticity Calling podcast. I am your host, Ralitza Spassova, and I am so excited to be joined today by my dear friend, another spirit sister, and oh my goodness, what a powerhouse of a human being, Billie Aadmi. And I'll tell you a little bit about Billie before I pass it over to her. She is the CEO and founder of Go Mindspire. She is a single mother of two beautiful children and a fur baby. She is passionate and purpose-driven international real estate investor and dedicated to cultivating a prosperous mindset in others through transformative tools of NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, timeline therapy, and hypnotherapy. Billie emanates a gentle yet powerful energy to hold space to empower individuals to unlock their full potential. She is transitioning from almost 2 decades of policing into her mission of upleveling mindsets for lifelong success. And she's here to share her authenticity calling journey. I am so happy to have you, Billie. This has been a long time coming, and I'm so excited that you're here with us. Thank you for taking the time, for sharing your gifts, for shining your gorgeous light. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here. You have no idea.
Thank you. Oh, it is so good. So good just to have Spirit Tribe. Gianna and I were talking about this earlier today. We recorded an episode and it changes everything.
Totally.
Wow. Like having the support of people who see you and remind you of your greatness and will love you unconditionally no matter what and can catch you in your shitstorm
Yeah.
and remind you what's really possible. I mean, we all go through those days where things are just not feeling great. And yeah,
Really
and
about being planted in the right soil,
that's
like a little
right.
greenery behind you. Like if you didn't have the right soil, you couldn't grow. And when you're in the crap soil, that's when you start decaying because you don't have the nutrients and the nourishment and all the love and the light and the sunshine in your life in order for you to grow and give back.
Oh, I love that so much. Well, you are some deep, nourishing soul food, let me tell you. So, Billie, I would love to hear about a bit of your story. I've heard some, but I would just love it if you wanted to open up and share with our audience. What did policing look like for you, and what took you from that world into this very different world that you're in now?
Oh my gosh, if you would have told me a year ago that I'd be doing what I do now, I would literally laugh in your face because I'd be like, I'm a cop. Like, sorry, I don't do that woo-woo stuff. Like, wrong with you? It just shows you that when the universe wants you to go a certain way, if you listen to your higher self, aka your intuition, that little voice in your head, and you follow those little bits of, I call it like the Hansel and Gretel morsels that
Yeah.
the universe gives you, it leads you to where you're meant to be.
Yeah.
And I know that everything that I've been through in my life in the almost 2 years of or 2 decades, I should say, of policing has led me to this point and now allowed me to build those skills and just be able to hold space for people now in
Mhm.
what I do now, which is a healer. And again, if you would have told me I'm a healer, I'd been like, yeah, I don't think you know who I am. I've always been a healer. I've always been a server,
Yes.
and I know deep down that's why policing called me, was because it's the ultimate job of giving back, of
Yes.
serving, of helping, and uplifting people.
That's right.
And it did that for me to a certain degree, and then it stopped. And a lot of things shifted when I became a mom. My kids are 7 and 8, and things shifted, and there is an element of danger for policing. And I stopped riding my motorcycle, I stopped snowboarding, like I stopped doing a lot of like risky things. So I think just naturally I started being guided towards something else. And I didn't know what that was. I had no idea. I went to actually school to be a teacher because I love teaching as well. It's one of my archetypes. So I always wanted to teach, and even in the policing world I did teach some police courses and things like that.
Yeah.
And I just was, you put things out to the universe and then you trust that wherever you're meant to go, you will. And I did
Hmm.
a bunch of businesses in here. And long story short, I started a health coaching business. I went to a networking event where I met a hypnotherapist. And I asked her to come and talk to my people because I saw how people's mindsets were like so messed up. I'm like,
Yes.
you've been in this body for 40 years, woman. Like, you think in 2 weeks it's going to shift? Like, what's wrong with you? And then I started learning about programs and strategies and the things, our limiting beliefs. And she gave me a session. And my opinion of hypnotherapy back then, this was over a year ago now, was, what we see on TV and stage hypnosis. I was like, oh, you're
Mhm.
just going to make me cluck like a chicken and bark like
Yeah.
a dog.
Yeah.
What's that going to do? And then she gave me a session and she went so deep in one session. And I was just like, I'm not gonna curse. What happened? Like, what the hell just happened? And she's like, I tapped into your unconscious mind. And I was like, what? And that intrigued me so much. It sent me down a rabbit hole. One thing led to another. I met my mentor, Dr. Kim Redmond, who's out in Ontario. And the first time I spoke to her on the phone, I literally gave her my credit card. I'm like, sign me up for everything. I want to know it all. I want to do it all. I want to get to the level of trainer, which is where I'm at now.
Yeah,
Is my whole philosophy is I don't want to just give you a fish so you eat for a day. I want to teach you how to fish so you can eat for life.
that's
And
right.
this teaching is in my core. It just was such a natural fit. And
Yeah,
I have never felt so comfortable and confident in what
yeah,
I do now that I don't even stress about like how am I going to do this? It just
yeah.
comes naturally. And that's just proof that when you are in alignment and you are being authentic with who you're meant to be and what
Yes,
you do and you're living
yes,
your purpose and shining your
yes,
light, it's just
yes,
life flows. Literally, the universe brings everything that you need, all the resources that are literally just in arm's reach, and life just starts living the way it should be. Love
yes,
and peace.
yes,
And
yes. It comes through us. It just
it
happens.
does.
Yes. Oh, and this is exactly why Billie and I connected like lightning. It was so quick. Yes, this generous spirit of giving back. But that empowerment is so important. And I think it is really missing in our world. I think a lot of people want to be sort of the solution solver. They want to be the healer. They don't want to necessarily empower clients with tools that they can take away to continue their lifelong journey of healing and evolving. And that's where you and I really connected with that integrity, is that we're not holding space for people to continue to come back to. There are so many people in our world that can use this support, that can use these tools. And what I absolutely adore so much about you is that you take these tools and you apply it to everything in your life,
Mhm.
including your parenting, including your friendships, including, your work relationships, whether it's in corporate or policing or healthcare or wherever. All of these tools can be applied in any space, actually.
It is literally giving people the lifeboat, which in my world, I say from moving from victim island over to solution city.
Hmm.
We don't want to create codependency, and we as light workers and healers in the work that we do, we're
That's
here to
right.
hold up the light, give people the ladder, but they still are the ones that need to step up the ladder and work them way up. And that's
That's
why
right.
I love teaching and giving people the tools, because it's not, I don't want people to be dependent on me.
Yes.
I don't want to create that codependency. And as much as, from a business standpoint, that's the business way to do things.
Yeah.
That's not because it's not in my integrity. And I want
Yeah.
to, from the bottom of my heart, really help people and uplift them, because I've seen how this has affected my life.
That's
I
right.
only started this last May when I first started my training and I went through my breakthrough, and everything shifted for me. That my real
Mm.
estate career took off. And, now since May, what is that, 9 months ago, 8 months ago? My real estate investing that I did has now allowed me to take a step back from policing and really step into back into parenthood, connecting with my kids if I, because I can and I need to,
Yes.
and then just be allowed to work from a place of service as opposed to a place of I need money
That's
to pay
right.
the bills,
That's
which
right.
that's not the space I want to do this work in.
That's right. Energy is everything, and people feel that. And when you show up just to serve, simply to support and to guide and to heal, to share your gifts, to me, that's exactly what it is. And it is so much greater than me. It just comes through me. And so it's so funny because sometimes when this brings me back to a conversation I had earlier this week with somebody on the podcast, and they were calling me out to highlight things about me, right? That I love about myself. And yes, there's this, I'm not worth it part of me. I'm not worthy that
Hmm.
I get to work on and that I get to up level. But I feel like part of this sort of loving yourself and really giving yourself credit and looking at yourself to uplift in a way, like it's difficult for me because it's so much bigger than me. Like it's not about me, it's about the gift. It's about being in service. So it's funny when I have those kind of moments of reflection of, receiving and worthiness and all of that. It doesn't land quite right because it's not about me. So yeah, I just love to hear your perspective on that because it just kind of dawned on me now as you were sharing. And I've thought about this before and I've questioned, worth work. Because it lands, but there's still something that's not quite aligned in it for me. And I'm curious if you know what I'm
You want,
talking about or if you can speak to that.
you want the truth?
Yeah, please. Absolutely.
You're
That's
playing
the
too
whole point of
small.
this podcast.
You're playing too small.
There you go. Okay.
Because your light needs to be shined brighter. And we've had this conversation
Yeah,
before that you need to plant yourself in the soil that we just talked about at the beginning is when you plant yourself in the right soil, then your light will be shined. And for me, I was in a very, you know, unsupportive, dimming environment where I felt
Mm,
like I had to dim myself in order to fit in. And I
mm,
always felt like the black sheep when really I was actually the white sheep. I was the
mm,
one that was calling out what was happening around and saying, that's not in integrity, that's not in alignment, that's not
mm,
right.
mm.
And majority of the world likes to sweep stuff under the ground and just, I call it comfortable suffering. Like people are suffering and they just make it comfortable. Like I'll just buy this nice car or a nice house, or I'll buy nice clothes and buy a fancy purse or shoes, and I'll make myself feel better. And really deep down, they're not happy. And
It's
I
not
was
in
never
alignment.
happy in the environment that I was in.
Yeah,
And I stayed in it because, again, it was these programming:
yeah,
get married, go to school, get a job. That was like the programming that I was given.
that's
And
right.
majority of people, these programs are given to us when we're children
Mm,
by our parents, by school, by
mhm,
society, by media, by
mhm.
church, whatever it is. Those are the programs that are given us to us. To be a good person, you need to do this. To be a
That's
successful person, you need to do this. So
mhm.
that's ingrained, and it's not our fault because as kids, like we don't have any other programs. That's what happens. And then you get to a certain point in your life. Some people call it a midlife crisis. I call it a midlife awakening
Yeah.
because it is. You're waking up and you're like, wait a minute, I'm not happy in this marriage. I'm not
That's
happy
right.
in this job. I'm not happy in this body. I'm not happy in this family.
That's right.
What is up? And then you start listening to that voice, and then it's telling you to get out.
Yes.
And you are not happy. And if you are not in flow, that is the universe's, your higher self talking to you to say, listen, get out, shift it, change
Hmm.
it, adjust it, or get out and go find where you need to go. And people don't listen. And
That's right.
that's they mask it with other things.
That's
Whether
right.
sometimes it's drugs, sometimes it's alcohol, sometimes it's whatever it is.
They
Unhealthy
self-medicate.
relationships.
Yeah.
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 So
Absolutely.
so for you, you have, and I think this is why I've been attracted to your energy so much, is because I see a lot of me in you.
Hmm.
And they say in this work that our best clients are who we used to be.
That's right.
And I see part of that in you. And we're kind of like two car lengths ahead of the people that we share our light with,
That's right.
right? And then we're working with people two cars ahead so that we can still keep going, where it's always one hand up, one hand down.
That's right.
So I see that you're playing too small. You have way more to give.
I
You have
receive
way
that. I
more.
fully receive that. A
Yeah.
hundred thousand percent. Absolutely. I've just recently been called into this conscious leadership space in my career in my 9 to 5 because I know I went to medical school and I kind of always said it when people ask me, why didn't you do something more holistic? You're so holistic minded. You talk about mind, body, spirit all the time. You're like the spiritual pill. What are you doing in medicine? And I always used to say, you know what? You have to be in it to change it. So just recently, I literally became a transformation partner, which is like, what a title. I didn't know that existed. And being called into this space, it's really holding that safety and that space for collaboration and, sharing the downloads, asking the questions, questioning the we can't do it this way. Well, why not? Right? Why? Let's, check a little deeper. Let's push a little further. Is it really possible? And really holding and supporting that space. So you have to be really brave and bold to step into that in a system which is, by most people's definition, totally broken, right? I always try to reframe that and support anyone that I work with to see it as healing, or we're on our way towards a functioning healthcare system. But it depends on your experience, and I hear all kinds of stories, the good, the bad, and the ugly. But on this path, I do feel a strong calling in my coaching as well to really get on stage. Thank you for pulling me up on stage to remind me of that. I remember a vision that I had when I went to Anthony Robbins in 2008, and it was literally standing on stage with Tony Robbins. And I was like, whoa. And I'm a visionary and I trust my visions. And I just knew one day it'll happen. It's not tomorrow. It's not going to be this year, but one day I feel it. It is still like very real. So being on that stage with you last week, just this last weekend, actually, really made me like it was almost that paradigm shift where you see yourself from the outside and you see your older self and then you see your future self and you're like kind of in between. It's kind of like this matrix moment. It was so interesting. But I just really appreciate you being so bold and brave and just taking that action and being that stand for what's possible. Wow,
Do
so
you think there
powerful.
was any type of coincidence, the fact that Tony Robbins does NLP and that's what I do?
Absolutely not. I don't believe in coincidences.
Someone else doing NLP, not as big as Tony Robbins yet. Working my way there.
That's right. Yeah, I love that.
No coincidences, right?
No, I don't believe in
It
it.
happens when it's meant to happen.
Absolutely. Yeah. Billie, I'd love it if you don't mind sharing and kind of taking us back in your journey for people that are listening that might be in this state right now where they're like, really realizing maybe I'm not actually happy with my life. Maybe I'm not where I'm meant to be. What was sort of the first sign that you felt or heard, or I guess how would you help someone who's in that stuck space first to identify that they're stuck? Because I think when we're stuck, we don't know that we're stuck. We're just doing the thing that we know how to do. We don't know what we don't know. So first, how do they identify that they're stuck? Second, what is the light, that little tiny glimmer of hope at the end of the tunnel, which calls them forward? What's been your experience in that? And how will people recognize that that's actually the light versus a distraction? Because I think in that space of awakening, there are a lot of distractions. And
Mhm.
part of what I tell people is you have to kind of play with it and figure it out, like what's right and what's not right for you. But I'm curious if you have a different perspective. And then from finding the light to actually taking that action, what's the secret to gain the momentum?
That's a lot of
That
questions
is a
in one.
lot of questions.
Okay.
So how do you know that you're stuck?
So so for most people, unfortunately, they have to get to rock bottom. And that's what we try to avoid. And that's what happened to me. It literally was rock bottom. I was at this place in my life where I was like literally on the proverbial rock bottom on, the bathroom floor, right?
Yeah.
And you've heard this when we did that event together, and it was just like something's got to give, and something really needs to shift. And for me, it meant literally cutting everybody off around me
Mhm.
that was creating that toxicity in my life.
Mhm.
It was almost like I needed to take it and just find myself again, because I got
Mhm.
lost, and that's what people do. They get lost in their worlds that they're in, and because it just becomes so mundane, right?
That's
Every
right.
day I'm going to get up and get the kids ready to go for school, and then I'm going to go
Yeah.
do a job, and then I'm going to come home and I'm going to make dinner, and then you just almost forget.
Yes.
And something happens, and usually it's something big, like either a death or a birth or a divorce, or something big, like they get fired. The pandemic was huge for people because
Mhm.
the entire globe shifted at the same
Yes.
time.
Yeah.
And I think that's why now there is such a big shift of where people are moving to, and
Mhm.
getting out of the whole corporate world and realizing, wait a minute, maybe there's more for me.
That's right.
So something has to shift, and there's actually something called the change state indicator.
Mm.
And like you're moving along, just trotting along. Okay, life is good. You kind of, the programs and all the strategies and all the environment like your programs match the environment.
Mhm.
Then something shifts and you're like, oh, okay, so whatever I was doing before isn't really working and making me feel the way I want to feel, like happy
Mhm.
or whatever it is. And then they try to keep doing the same thing. Well,
Mhm.
maybe it'll shift. Maybe it'll shift that whole, insanity, like
Yeah.
the same over
Trying
and
to
over.
get something different, doing the same
Oh,
thing. Yeah, yeah.
like something needs to shift, but I'm going to keep doing the same things I'm going to do because that's all I know.
Yes.
And then they keep doing it and they're trying to work and they're trying to work and then they literally fall. And
Yes.
that's when they fall into the ditch and they're like, fuck, I was going to swear, sorry. Like shit, like I like
Okay.
now what?
Yeah.
I'm stuck now. Now what do I do? Unfortunately, most people want to get back up that hill
That's right.
and they want to go back to where they used to be. And they realize like that's not going to work.
And
And
that's
this is
okay. That's okay because because you don't know what you don't know.
learn. They need to learn. And this everything that happens, all the trauma that we've ever been through in our life is meant to teach us lessons.
That's right.
When you don't learn the lessons, that's when you keep going up that same hill
Yes.
because you're trying to just go back to life the way it used to be. And the universe is trying to tell you that, look, you need to up level yourself. It's time for an upgrade.
Yes, I'm going to
Okay.
pause you for 1 second. Going
Sure.
back to that point might be getting into the same toxic relationship or the same type of person or the
Yep.
same type of career or the same type of habit. Maybe you're not
Yep.
meant for a 9 to 5. Maybe you're meant for a different business model. Maybe, this is not your type, which you always thought was your type. That's been your toxicity. That's your karmic pattern and your healing. And if you reach that moment of realization of learning the lesson, then you get to move forward and evolve. So I just wanted to plug that because
Yeah.
that can look very different. It doesn't always have to be,
Sure.
career.
Yep. So then you're at the bottom, right? You're trying to figure out how the hell am I going to get out of here? Most people stay in the fear, the anxiety, the stress of actually being there.
Mm.
Victim Island.
Oh, it's the worst.
Oh, I was parked so hard on Victim Island. I joke about it now. I'm like, I used to have barbecues, invite people over for margaritas and
Yep.
be like, come on over here. I'm stuck down here. But you know what? Come on. The comfortable suffering,
Yep.
right? Woe is me. Can you believe this happened to me? I can't believe this happened to me. I'm such a good person. Why did they treat me that way? Why did this? And you just live on this victim island and you're
Mhm.
stuck
Mhm.
and you're like, what am I going to do? And then they just sit in that wallow in that low vibration frequency. And then guess
Yes,
what? They get more of the same.
that's right.
The best state you can be in is curiosity and excitement.
Mm.
It's usually curiosity first,
Yes.
and that curiosity can lead to excitement.
Yes.
So for me, when I was literally on the proverbial rock bottom on the bathroom floor, being like, I literally looked up and I was like, okay, what? And there's a little bit of surrender there,
Yeah.
right? You have to be like, I put it into the universe's hands. What am I supposed to do? Where am I meant to go?
Yeah.
And then the universe is like, has a little bit of a sense of humor, but when it needs you, or when it knows that, okay, she's ready,
Yes.
she's finally got this, she's finally ready to receive this information.
Yes.
That's where that curiosity light gets put on. Well, what if I went up the other way?
Yes.
What if I tried go? I know it's a little bit higher than this side, but what if I could try to go up that side?
Yes.
And then that leads to excitement, like because you start climbing and you're like, oh, and that's when people start their healing journeys and they do
Yes.
all this stuff and they shift their environments and the idea of leaving a marriage or the idea of leaving a family or a job, that curiosity be like, well, what could life be look
Yes.
there?
What if in the positive, not what if in the negative? Because I think in our society, we're very accustomed
Well,
to
that's the victim
what if
island.
in the negative. That's right. But what
Yeah.
if in the positive? What if everything went exactly like you envisioned?
What if I just left this victim island in my little rowboat
Mm.
and I just started and
Hmm.
what would happen? And I would just start rowing and maybe I'll find some land. And it's that curiosity.
Yeah.
And then that's when people will usually reach out and look into finding coaches or reading books or going to workshops and things will start coming to them. And it's something called the reticular activating system that, once you start looking for something, guess what? More of that will show up.
That's right.
And people
Yeah.
don't, if they don't know what that means, is like if you've ever, like I decided to buy a Toyota Highlander one time. I put a deposit down on a vehicle. Everywhere I started looking, this white Toyota Highlander was literally everywhere.
Yes.
When you're pregnant, all of a sudden you start seeing pregnant women everywhere and you start
Yes.
looking at strollers and all these things.
Yeah.
And that's because that RAS has been activated
That's
now.
right.
And so now things will start coming, and that's the universe giving you the resources and be like, oh, here's a sound bath thing. Oh, here's this. Maybe I should join that. Oh, there's a free event. Maybe I'll go. And then one little thing will lead to another thing, will lead to another thing,
That's
which
right.
in my example that I gave you when I was doing health coaching, I was like in the depths of it, and a person reached out and said, hey, you should look at this business. And I was like, are you crazy? Like, business? What the hell are you talking about? I'm just trying to keep my head above water.
Yes.
One night I couldn't sleep, and she's like, just watch this video one day. And I never did. And it was like weeks later, and I couldn't sleep one night, and I just watched it, and I couldn't fall asleep again.
Mm.
And that is literally what led me to this moment.
Wow.
I opened up something. It was a resource that I didn't even know was a resource at that time.
That's right.
And again, it was little Hansel and Gretel crumbs will lead you to where you're going to go, as
That's
long
right.
as you keep that state of curiosity and excitement going.
That's
If you
right.
keep going back and being like, well, what if? And that's why most people stay where they are,
Yeah.
because they don't know what's out there.
That's
It's
right. We
scary.
don't know, but this is the
It
thing.
can be
When
scary.
we trust our soul's calling is so much bigger than we could ever know. And it's
Yes.
exactly that. You don't know. That's the point. It's going into that like
Yeah.
endless possibility. However, it's exactly what you said. The curiosity with the excitement, with the knowing, which takes trust, right?
Mhm.
To know that at the other end of that, if you keep your thoughts positive, because it starts with our thoughts, the excitement will build when you actually open up your mind to what is truly possible. And you don't even have to work hard for it. You just have to be open to receive. Like you said, the little breadcrumbs, the little whispers, they're there. And as soon as you start paying attention, they get louder, right? But
Well,
the
I want
opposite
people
is
to
also
really,
true. Sorry, I just want to finish this thought. The opposite is also
yeah.
true that if you don't listen to the whispers that are calling you forward into curiosity, you're going to get the rocks and then the stones and then the boulder to remind you that you can't go back. There is no going back to that
Yeah.
place that you came from. You're going to have to go forward.
Mhm. That's exactly how I explain it is, the universe will send you, a little grain of sand, and then it'll be a pebble, and then a rock, and then a boulder, and then the house of the Wizard of Oz will fall on you, and someone will steal your shiny shoes. Right? That's exactly the analogy that my mentor told me. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, I think I had the house. Yeah, someone stole my shoes many times. Yeah.
Yeah.
Literally, you're meant to learn lessons. And
Yeah.
the lessons will get louder and louder and louder until you actually listen to them.
Right.
And one thing I want your audience to really, really understand is that every single person, without exception, has gifts.
Yes.
Has gifts.
100%.
100%. People are like, well, I don't have any, special. Everybody does.
Yes.
It's
But it's
about,
hard to see your own gift though.
of course, because they're not living in their authenticity.
But
They're not
also it's
living
yours.
right.
It's normal for
They're
you.
not in the soil that
Yes.
allows them to grow into that beautiful flower that they're meant to be. Like your
Mm,
blueprint for success
mm,
in your higher self is
mm,
there.
mm-hmm,
It's there. It's a matter of allowing it to come in, and most of us block it. And
mm,
this is why this work is so profound and had such a profound effect on me, because I learned how to access it. I
mm.
learned how to get my conscious mind and my unconscious mind in rapport, playing
Yes.
on the same team,
Yes.
that they could access all those resources that literally the universe was just like, oh, she's finally ready. Finally. Okay, here you go.
Yes.
Here
Yes.
you go, Billie. Here you go. And literally life has transformed for me in 8 months.
So I want to go back to that for a second because you did say something extremely pivotal. You said there was a moment of surrender. And I feel like a lot of people that talk about this experience, this awakening, this moment where things shifted, there is surrender. However, and, yes, and I don't know that we can simply just wake up one day and say, okay, I'm ready for the calling. I'm going to surrender and it's just going to happen. There is something about getting through the lessons, learning the things that you're here to learn. And when you get to that moment of being ready for surrender, is there a way to know when you're there?
It's all a process. Like
Okay.
literally, it's like a spiral. You're here, and now you're gonna, grow and grow and grow and grow, and then you're gonna hit a ceiling, and then that's like that change state indicator.
Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, now how do I get past it? And
Yeah.
that's why we call what we do breakthroughs, because you're literally breaking through to the next level,
Yes.
and then it's gonna start all over again,
That's right.
and then it's a little bit chaotic
That's
because
right.
I use the analogy, like say you're going through a forest and you finally like get through the forest, And then you're into this big open field and you're like, holy shit, now what do I do? Where do I
Yeah.
go? It's this new level of being,
Yeah.
and everything that happens to you brings you up this spiral of evolution. Literally, that's what we're meant to do.
Yes.
Just want to stay like, oh, I'm just happy here. And that's their journey.
That's
Maybe
right.
they just needed one spiral. That was their evolution in this lifetime. Some of us do multiples.
That's
Some
right.
of us do a few and then stop and then realize, okay, well, maybe I want to do it again. Then we take a break. Everything
Mm-hmm.
that happens for a reason at the time that you need it.
Mm-hmm.
First, personally, I know for sure I was brought in this lifetime to learn forgiveness,
Mm.
because I've looked back now and I've seen so many times that I was betrayed by people
Mm.
really close to me. And I didn't really understand forgiveness because I always
Mm.
thought it was about other people.
Yes.
What happened now,
Yeah.
I was like, oh, okay, now I get it. I finally got it. It's about me. It has nothing
Yeah.
to do about them.
Yeah.
It's my empowerment. It has nothing. It's just in it. It literally allowed me to release the resentment, to release the anger,
Yeah.
to get off again victim island. Because when you're in
Yes.
victim island, you're literally not forgiving people,
That's right.
right? You're holding on to that energy, and everybody else is moving along, and you're just
That's right.
gone and living their life, and you're still over here. But wait, listen, but wait, that got hurt, made of this and this and that and all this nonsense that you're just living in,
That's
when
right.
really you could just get in your rowboat and just be on your way too.
Yeah. So I want to go into that just a little bit because I have no doubt there are clients out there waiting for you right now. And in this state of blaming other people instead of taking personal responsibility. So I always talk about the world being a mirror, right? If you see something on the outside, Carl Jung's theory, if you see something on the outside, it's just more dramatically played out of what's internally, happening that
Massive
wants your
above,
attention.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So in this state of blaming everybody, there's no empowerment there. How does somebody that's in that state shift, change, and move into empowerment?
Well, there's many ways to do it. The short answer of that is learning to move from the effect side into the cause side. So
Mm-hmm.
we've all heard this saying, like, life happens for us, not to us.
Mm-hmm.
And it's that same concept,
Yeah.
that what if you can look back and be like, yeah, that sucked. That fucking, sorry, I swear again.
Don't
That
sorry, Dad. It's okay. It's all on explicit. Don't even worry about it. YouTube's covered. It's not going to end up on YouTube Kids on your children's stream.
right? Mommy, floor. Um, what was I talking about? It literally is like, that sucked. You honor it.
Yes.
What happened? You
Hmm.
don't downplay it and say, what was I supposed to learn there?
Hmm.
Man, I learned like I'm resilient as fuck. See, now you,
Curiosity. But no,
you
but this is the thing. Curiosity is one, but two is what did you learn about yourself? How did you grow and evolve? Take that personal responsibility to, yes, take aligned action, but first, I love what you said about feel it. Because I
know,
think a lot of times, especially in the personal development space, we want to bypass all the nasty feelings. Like it's almost that yeah, that like spiritual bypassing. Oh, I'm so enlightened that like I have no problems. Okay, maybe you believe that, which is fine. Like all the power to you. And that's just simply not why we're here, right? If you're done, then you're literally you're done. Then you get to move on to the spirit realm, right? But the fact that you're still here as human means you're still here to learn something. And I think a lot of the emotions, not I think I know somatically when we do somatic coaching, similar to somatic therapy, but we don't go into trauma, we go into, the energy body to really embody what is left in the body. When we have those emotional experiences, those openings to feel what we neglected to feel in that moment, memories surface, right?
mm,
And so it's that allowing that to release an energy to move through us, our emotions to move through us that opens up the space to actually get to the point that you have capacity for curiosity. And I think
mhm.
that's really important to mention because I don't think a lot of people talk about that.
I mean, emotion is literally energy in motion.
Right.
It's if we hang on to that feeling of anger or sadness or shame, that's when our body takes it because we literally hold it in our body.
That's right.
And this is with, this modality that I do called timeline therapy is so powerful because we go back to the root cause and we
Mm,
release the top seven negative emotions, which are fear, anger, shame, hurt, guilt, rage, and
mm,
sadness.
mm,
And when you can go back to the root cause, and some of them, we go back past lives, generations. I mean, when I went, like, I think the farthest back I ever went was 17 generations.
wow.
My family's from India, so there's lots of generational stuff that's been carried down. And
Mm,
I know I want to do this work, so now my daughter doesn't have to deal with it. But you can
mm,
go back to that root cause because what happened was whatever that trauma was,
mm.
the lesson wasn't learned. So when it doesn't get learned, guess what? It doesn't just go back up with you. It gets sent to the next one, and
That's
then the
right.
next one, and it gets harder and harder and harder.
That's right.
We can release those top seven negative emotions are then, we use timeline therapy to release the top two to three negative limiting beliefs and
Mm,
decisions, and they're usually one of four: unworthy, unlovable,
mhm,
powerless, and not
mhm,
good enough.
mhm,
And most of our whatever is blocking us from really stepping into our light has to do with some of those. The
mhm.
majority of people are like, I have this problem, I have that problem, I have that problem, I have that problem. And they want to work on the problems, just like in
Yes,
medicine.
that's
Let's
right.
work deal with the symptoms.
Yes,
Well, the symptoms come from this issue.
yes,
Okay, cool. Well, what caused the issue in the first place?
yes. Exactly.
Let's figure out the root
Yes.
so that once we can clear that, the rest of it all unravels and it disappears.
Hmm.
That's why timeline therapy is so powerful. And it's one of my mission now is really to get timeline therapy as easy as normal as Kleenex in the house.
I love that.
Like a word that people are familiar with, because majority of people don't even know about this modality. Some people know about NLP because Tony Robbins is
Yes.
huge. A lot of people understand what hypnotherapy is, but the timeline therapy is such a powerful modality, and it's super fast and
Mm,
extremely gentle because we don't go actually into the trauma, because
mm.
the unconscious mind already knows what happened. It
That's
doesn't
right.
need to go back and revisit it and rebuild that neurology. All it needs to do is upload the lessons.
Yes.
It can do that. See you later.
That's the
Let's move on.
shift. Yes,
That's
that is the shift.
and that was
Energetically. So it's funny when I was younger, I very specifically remember this as if it was yesterday. I was in the car, I was downtown, something had happened, and I had a thought process. And as it was happening, it literally stopped happening because that thought process taught me the lesson. That aha moment happened, and all it was traffic or something, and all of a sudden it cleared. And I
wow.
just thought, is this how the universe works? This is so cool. And then I thought I must be delusional because I was in my 20s and I didn't know anything about universal law
Yeah.
or, any of the tools that we talk about. So it's so interesting, but that is exactly what it is. And I love what you said about not having to relive the trauma, not having to re-experience it. You don't have to know anything about it. And the fact that you can go multiple generations back. And something that people don't understand is karma also gets transferred not to you. It gets transferred to the thing or people you love most, usually your children or your grandchildren. So you better take care of that stuff and deal with it on your own so you don't pass it on.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I
Sure.
love this conversation. I cannot wait to experience the magic of everything that you do and also blow up timeline therapy with you because I feel like that was a major calling and it's happening. Like it's here.
Honestly,
It's yours to blow up.
Ralitza, if you could get timeline therapy into the medical profession as like,
Woo!
what? This is something that if the entire world could just have a timeline therapy session, which takes only 2 to 3 hours to do all that I just said, the world would be a completely different place.
Let's go.
Remember all the, let's
Did you
do
hear
it.
the calling? Hello, let's go.
Go.
That is how it happens, my friends. Just
It-
like that. Conscious conversations, spirit tribe, streaming consciousness. You hear the calling, you say yes, you do the thing. And that's all we have to know about it. It's just the next step.
Mhm.
Oh my goodness, I'm so excited. I knew this was going to be powerful.
Yeah.
So excited. All right. So if somebody does want to work with you, Billie, how do they find you? Is it social media? Is it website? Is it both? Tell us.
Yeah, I have a website. It's goldmindspire.com.
Okay.
On Instagram, I am go.mindspire. Facebook, well, I have my personal one on Facebook, which you can tag as Billie IREI. Yeah, I love working one on one. However, my passion as I said, is teaching. I do workshops all the time. I actually have a workshop coming up March 16 and 17. It's called Designing Your Destiny, which was actually
Yes.
created by my mentor, Dr. Kim Redmond, which I bought the rights for because it was where I started, and it was really a kind of a Cole's Notes version of how the universe works and how to really tap into your unconscious mind. She's been part of the mystery schools for like 30 years. So she brings the ancient wisdoms in it. So there's
Oh,
6 gifts, there's 6 secrets. We do a Prometheus induction. Oh, it's a super fun. It's very interactive. It's all on Zoom. It's Saturday, Sunday, 9 to 5. Literally like costs practically nothing. It's our give back to the community, to the world, because just some people just don't know what they don't know.
that's right.
And so this is that workshop that says creates that curiosity for you and
Yeah.
possibly that excitement to
Mm.
actually step into something forward. And yeah, then my next course is in April. You get 4 board designations in 8 days, which is crazy for me too. When I first learned that, I was like, what? So you become an NLP practitioner, timeline therapy practitioner, hypnotherapist, and then NLP coach, because that's the bucket that we hold it in. Because you have to have a cup to hold all the things in. It's not just here, learn this technique and learn that and do this and do some hypno and this. No, it's a very specific process that we take people through. It's that journey, that hero's journey that we work on,
That's right.
taking you from Victim Island all the way to Solution City, and the transformations that we see even in the courses.
Mhm.
Because again, you're experiencing it's experiential learning. So you're not only just learning the techniques, you're experiencing them as a coach and then as a client. So you're getting constantly up leveled. And in that 8 days, the transformation, even in the workshops, the weekend workshops that we do. I
Yeah.
just taught a hypnotherapy workshop last weekend, and just in 2 days, the type of transformations. Because again, sometimes it's just one little mind shift set.
Yes.
It's one new little neural pathway that we've just created for you
Yeah.
that literally changes the entire trajectory of your life.
Yeah.
And that one breadcrumb that maybe some people will need just to, that's it. That's that shift they needed to start going down the path that they were meant to be on.
Girl, if I showed last year you this video,
I mean,
that is how much it shifts.
who was that? Like literally, like it's not even Billie 2.0. It's like Billie like 10.0, like
That's
100.
right.
The amount of transformation and shifts that I've seen in myself since May is just like profound sometimes for me to even understand. And the
Well, you
more
know
I
what?
work, the more I'm like, yep, it is the work. It is
That's right.
literally that easy and that
That's
quick.
right. Well, it's March 5th. I'm looking forward to April because I am going to join the course. I'm so excited. So excited. And yeah, I guess everybody here, our audience will get to see my own personal transformation through it. And I have no doubt.
And if your audience is interested in it, have them reach out. We'll have a
Absolutely.
special promo code for any of your people that want to join so that they can
Amazing.
get, a better deal. And
Amazing.
it's gonna,
Thank
yeah,
you.
it's like literally it comes so naturally to me. And that's why I know I'm meant to do this work.
Oh, you're so passionate about it. It is undeniable. And it's, yeah, I mean, testimonials are not enough compared to your passion and your fire with it and how aligned it is for you and the synchronicities that happen. People don't
I am
understand.
I am my best testimonial, and
That's
I know
right.
for sure because
That's
when
right.
people that know me see like, holy crap, really, like it's profound.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Let's go. I can't wait. I'm so excited. So excited. Thank you so much for all of your love, all of your passion, your dedication, your aligned work. I don't like saying hard work anymore. That's one thing that I've shifted. I used to say hard work. It doesn't have to be hard. It gets to be easeful. Yes, it's work, but it gets to be the type of thing you love to do. Aligned
Or
work
you're
is
just doing it
so
wrong.
juicy. What's
Yeah.
that?
If it's hard, you're just doing it wrong.
Exactly. Yeah. No more work hard, play hard. We're throwing that out. Oh, I love
We're
you
working
so
our
much.
purpose and living our purpose. And yeah, that's
That's
it.
right. That's right. And Billie and I actually have some secret sauce that we're co-creating that we're going to be sharing soon. So stay tuned. More to come.
So much to come.
So much to come.
Thank you for having me. This was so fun.
I love you.
I love you too.
I love you so much. We could do this any day, every day, all day. Oh my goodness. So much goodness.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a beautiful night, love. Mwah.
Love you.
Take care.